Hey everybody. Today I'm going to talk about some ways to save some money when shipping the U.S. Postal Service using Priority Mail as a commercial customer. For example, an eBay seller, an Etsy seller, or I would guess a small Amazon seller, or any commercial business that involves online sales, shipping, what have you. I personally have used eBay quite a bit over the years for purchasing computer parts, electronics, and all sorts of random things. And I've also purchased homemade baked goods through eBay and Etsy. I purchased out of 35 U.S. states since 2015. And so I've happened to witness quite a bit and learn quite a bit about Priority Mail. In addition, my mom is a 12-year employee of the U.S. Postal Service. She's a mail carrier, and she is also a longtime eBay seller. So to start this series off, I'm going to talk about some of the common mistakes I have witnessed after learning about where money can be saved. I'm going to talk about some mistakes I have seen. They're easy mistakes to make, but they can cost you and your buyers dearly. First and foremost, paying for your postage at the post office counter. This, my friends, is simply handed the most expensive way to pay for Priority Mail. It is marked up full retail. It is intended for average Joe who may be occasionally needing to ship something to his friend or whatnot, and needs to ship something, so they pack into, say, a flat rate box or just a standard mailing box. Run up to the local post office and get in line at the counter and pay full retail for postage. Because, for example, the U.S. Postal Service, although they don't really advertise it, in which I can see why, for commercial sellers and commercial users, the U.S. Postal Service offers much cheaper shipping rates, but they're only available through commercial means, which that means buying your labels online through Etsy or eBay or Shipping Easy or Stamps.com and printing them out, tapping into the box, and going up to the local post office and dropping them off to be shipped off. Still going to the post office, but instead of using the post office counter, the retail counter, or using the retail counter and paying the full retail window rate, you're getting a discount. Alright, so that moves us on to mistake number 2 I have seen. Inappropriate use of flat rate boxes, particularly the medium flat rate box and the large flat rate box. Inappropriate use will be shipping something that's particularly lightweight a short distance. A good example would be a seller from Virginia selling or shipping an item to a buyer in North Carolina, and the item weighs only like a couple of pounds or so. When they could only spend about $7 or so through online postage, they would instead have spent over $12 on postage through online postage, or at the retail rate over $13 for the medium flat rate box, for example. The medium flat rate box is the USPS profit machine. You see them advertise them all the time on flyers that they send out during, let's say, the holidays. People are shipping stuff left and right during the holidays. And the hallmark of those advertisements is the flat rate boxes, because they're simple. They're simple. It's one rate, any weight, any distance. Piled into the box. If it's less than 70 pounds, if it fits, it ships. That's their motto. If it fits, it ships. But it may cost you dearly. Medium flat rate boxes, large flat rate boxes, they're not useless, but in many cases, they can cost you and your buyers more than necessary. So, that brings us on to a third mistake I have seen made on a few occasions. With Priority Mail, the United States Postal Service offers free supplies, free mailing boxes, for example. They offer them in flat rate boxes, regional rate boxes. You get padded envelopes. You get various sizes of the standard Priority Mail mailing boxes. There are so many options available to choose from that are totally free. They ship them to you for free, and they don't, again, they're free supplies. I mean, for example, a standard brown mailing box sometimes may cost you like $1 or more a piece, depending on where you buy from. That is a significant cost when you all add it up after several. When you're shipping a lot of stuff, if you're constantly using brown boxes to ship your stuff, it all adds up. Now, some sellers, or at least one seller, has voiced to me that the reason why they use these boxes is because they are built to a better standard than the Priority Mail mailing boxes. To an extent, I can see that's kind of true. The Priority Mail mailing boxes are a little thin, but I have not had issues with them. I've not had any issues with stuff breaking related to construction of the box. So, I mean, in my opinion, it's like, if it's free, why not use it? Why not use it? It's there for you to use for free. The USPS is offering you free supplies for Priority Mail. Why not take advantage of it? So, definitely, take advantage of what the USPS is offering to you for free. Those Priority Mail mailing boxes, they're free mailing supplies. So now I was going to discuss a little bit more in detail about how you can save money by using online postage instead of paying full retail at the post office counter. Really, to be honest, guys, I have heard on a few occasions from some sellers they use the post office counter to support their local post office. And I can understand the merit behind that, but really, to be honest, from my experience, just taking that package, prepaid postage, taking the package to that post office, you're still supporting that post office. It's really, to be honest, when you check out and they slap that label on your box, you paid what's called US postage paid. It's to the USPS, not necessarily your local post office. Those employees working at that counter, and also your mail carriers, they are federal employees. They are employed by the U.S. government, by the U.S. Postal Service, not by the local post office. So the counter is essentially a convenience item. It's there for regular customers to, and they offer what's called retail rates, full retail. For example, let's go ahead and talk about commercial plus and commercial base rates. So for eBay sellers, who I believe any eBay seller except for power sellers, the Pitney Bowes postage that you commonly see is called commercial base postage. It is a slightly discounted version of Priority Mail. You get a discounted rate on flat rate boxes. You get a discounted rate on weighed postage, for example. And if you're selling to Etsy, you have access to Commercial Plus postage, which is a further discounted postage. Another advantage of Commercial Plus pricing through Etsy is Commercial Plus pricing offers higher insurance on your packages. For example, Priority Mail Retail and Commercial Base offer you the standard $50 up to $50 worth of insurance on the package, whereas with Commercial Plus, it doubles to $100 of insurance on that package. So you can ship more valuable items without having to add additional insurance. That's a huge advantage there. For example, this mailing box, it was mailed from New York to North Carolina and was considered Zone 4 distance. It was a 2-pound, 1.1 ounce package, which I believe once it goes over 2 pounds, if there's any ounces above 2 pounds, you're automatically charged the 3-pound mailing rate. So, if you look at our 2018 USPS Priority Mail Commercial Plus weight-based rates, the full retail rate for 3 pounds, Zone 4 was $10.15. For 3 pounds, Zone 4, let's say this seller would have spent $8.22 on postage. So that's quite a bit of savings right there. That's almost $2 actually. So when you're selling stuff and you're shipping stuff left and right, it all adds up. So again, as I mentioned, commercial base, you get, commercial base postage, you get discounted rates off of flat rate boxes and weighed postage. With Commercial Plus, you get further discounted rates on weighed postage and flat rate boxes. For example, the medium flat rate box in 2018 cost $13.60 retail to mail. In 2018, the commercial base postage price is $12.85. The Commercial Plus price in 2018 is $12.45. So at Commercial Plus, you're saving $1.20. And here's a closer look, and I'll include these charts in the video for you to see. Pause if you'd like to view that. These are regional rate and flat rate box prices, which leads us to regional rate boxes. So now we're going to talk about regional rate boxes. And when you start talking about regional rate boxes, you start talking about major savings on Priority Mail postage. These boxes are very similar to flat rate boxes in that they are not based, their pricing is not based off of the package weight. However, this one has a max weight of 15 pounds, this one has a max weight of 20 pounds. These boxes are online only. You cannot buy it. You cannot actually pick them up at the post office. They must be ordered online through the USPS store. Delivery is free. Again, they're free supplies. And also, you cannot get the discounted rates at the local post office. Another reason why using the post office counter as a commercial customer is a bad idea. My mom is an eBay seller, and despite being a USPS employee, never uses the post office counter to pay for her postage. So this is the regional rate box A. It has an inner diameter of 10 inches by 7 inches by 4.75 inches. And for example, some sellers, if you're one of the sellers who is selling baked goods, this will easily ship, let's say, 3 dozen cookies or 2 large loaves of bread. Either two can weigh sometimes up to 5 pounds. But what's nice about these boxes is, for example, the regional rate box A in 2018 cost between $7.10 to $10.80 to mail, based on zone distance. So you saw this chart we looked at earlier. Up top are the regional rate box prices, and you can see where I have boxes A and B marked. They start out at $7.10, and actually you may see a zone 9 here. The USPS currently does not use zone 9 for factoring in prices, so the ones you want to consider are zones 1 through 8. Zone 8 would be, for example, from North Carolina to California or North Carolina to Hawaii, for example. So a shipping distance that far would be $10.80 for anything up to 15 pounds in that box. So the simplest way to think of the regional rate box A is the pricing of it is identical to the 2-pound weighted commercial base mailing rates. They're identical. Now the regional rate box B is quite a bit larger. And in some cases, it may not be such a good idea to use. I only recommend using this box if your items are absolutely the size that you actually need this size box. Some cases, the medium flat rate box, or even a large flat rate box, can be a cheaper alternative, and we'll discuss that in a moment. The regional rate box B has an inner diameter of 12.125 inches by 10.375 inches and 5.25 inches. Maximum weight 20 pounds. This box, again, is good for larger items, but it comes at a higher cost. So keep in mind, let's say if you are an Etsy seller, you have Commercial Plus rates. Your medium flat rate box price is $12.45 if you're one of the many who use the Postage through Etsy, which I highly recommend. At Zone 5, Zone 5 is where the regional rate box B, that's the last zone that it is practical to use the box B for items that would otherwise fit in the medium flat rate box, because for Zone 6 and higher, make sure you're seeing this, I'm sorry, for Zone 6 and higher, the regional rate box B is actually more costly than the medium flat rate box. And Zone 7, if you're a Commercial Plus customer, you would actually save money by using the large flat rate box. So these are definitely things to keep in mind. So that is what I consider proper use of a medium or large flat rate box for anything that is shipping these distances to where the regional rate box B would be impractical. But for example, the regional rate box A, again, inner diameter of 10 by 7 by 4.75. The medium flat rate box has inner diameter of 11 by 8.5 by 5.5. So, while the regional rate box A is a bit smaller, in pretty much all dimensions, there's a lot of things that will fit in the medium flat rate box that will also fit in the regional rate box A. So this is the most common box that I recommend to people because of its low shipping price. For small, heavy items up to 15 pounds, it is definitely a cost-saving measure. So now that you have an idea of what regional rate boxes are, let's go and talk about two mistakes that I've seen people make when using these boxes. Number one is paying for a regional rate box postage at the post office. Now, if we look back at our chart, technically you are not supposed to take a regional rate box to the post office and pay there. Now, that doesn't mean you can't drop it off there, which, of course, yeah, you want to. I actually recommend dropping off your boxes at your local post office to be mailed off. But if you look at my chart here, you'll see if you take a regional rate box to the local post office and pay at the counter when you mail it off, they will charge you an additional $2.25 for zones 1 through 4, which are these 3 boxes here, or zones 5 through 9, which will be $1 extra. But that's not always the case. Let's have a look at this box here. This was mailed from Maryland to North Carolina back in 2017. It is Zone 4 distance, and back then the regional rate box A price for Zone 4 was $6.83. This seller was charged $11.15. She was charged the 4-pound Priority Mail retail rate for 2017. So yeah, there's a big difference between $11.15 and $6.83. That's how much, for example, if you take a regional rate box up to your local post office that has a heavy item in it, this box had 2 big loaves of zucchini bread in it, again, weighing in at close to 4 pounds. If you take a box like this up to the post office counter and pay for the postage there, you may get ripped off big time, because really, and it's not necessarily the fault of the clerks at the counter, because really, to be honest, the USPS is so quiet about regional rate boxes that some employees don't even know about them. A lot of times employees are pushed to recommend the flat rate boxes, even though in many cases they know for a fact that they are a ripoff. Yeah, no kidding. So never, ever, ever pay for postage for a regional rate box at the counter. Please don't do that, because you will be ripped off. I have noticed on a couple of occasions some sellers doing this, and in one case I tried to message the seller about it, and she just blew me off like I didn't know what I was talking about. I'm like, fine, go ahead, just keep on doing it. So Yeah, again, please, if you're using regional rate boxes, make sure you pay for the postage online. Now, what's nice about regional rate boxes that I didn't mention already is, let's say you don't have access to Pitney Bowes postage through eBay. For example, you didn't sell something on eBay, or you didn't sell something on Etsy and you don't have access to Commercial Plus rates, which I think Commercial Plus you get additional 5 cents off. But what's nice about regional rate boxes is if you have these boxes, you can save money, because even USPS Click and Ship offers regional rate pricing. If I have a regional rate box right now I want to mail to somebody, even though I do not personally have an eBay store or an Etsy store, I can go online and print out a label for a regional rate box A and get the regional rate box A price. Now, isn't that nice? Now, here's mistake number 2 I've seen. I haven't seen this been made often, but it's happened, so I may as well mention it. This seller, who is based out of Michigan, shipped an order to me, North Carolina. She had the proper box, the regional rate box B, which actually I think what she shipped would have fit in the box A. But she used the box B, and this was 2017. So these are actually the price that would have applied to this is actually cheaper. It's zone 4. So it would have been a little bit cheaper than $9.37. So this seller was charged what she did. Now I have the address and stuff marked out. What happened here was, instead of choosing regional rate box B, the seller chose weighted priority mail, which ended up costing her a bit more, considering this was the 5-pound mailing rate. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is when you're using regional rate boxes, number 1, don't pay for them at the post office counter. Number 2, when you pay for postage online, make sure that you choose the correct box. And also, when you're setting up your listing in your shipping calculator through Etsy or eBay, make sure that it is using the proper box, because unlike regular priority mail, which is based off of weight and distance, the regional rate box is only based off of mailing distance, and it has fixed rates for those mailing distances. So keep that in mind. And to wrap this up, we have one more thing to talk about. So let's say if you don't have a regional rate box, let's say if you don't have a flat rate box, let's say you just have a plain Jane brown mailing box, which, of course, again, as I mentioned, I always recommend using USPS supplies for priority mail, as they're free. So if you're selling on Etsy, you should have access to these rates through Etsy ePostage. Again, this is cubic postage. And these rates it's sort of like a regional rate box in a way. It's not based off of the package weight, as long as the weight is under 20 pounds. It's based off the mailing distance and the size of the box in cubic feet, up to 0.5 cubic feet. And the way this works is, you measure your box, you get the package size in cubic feet, you multiply the length, width, and the height in inches, round to the nearest quarter inch. That's what it says on the website. You round this to the nearest quarter inch for each of these 3. Then you divide that by 1728, and that gets you your cubic feet. So and then you would take that and apply it to any of these 5 tiers. And the way it works is, if it's 0.1 or less, 0.1 cubic feet or less, it falls into tier 1. If it's 0.2 cubic feet or more than 0.1, it falls into tier 2. If it's 0.3 or less but higher than 0.2, it falls into this tier, so on and so forth. And one thing I'll mention is the tier 3 pricing is very similar to the regional rate box A. Well, the regional rate box A actually falls just right into tier 3 just about, so that makes sense. That makes sense why the pricing is so similar. So this can definitely save you some money on mailing stuff. I mean, for example, let's say if you have a dense item, a small dense item that weighs about 18 pounds. With the regional rate boxes, you would have to mail it in the box B, which would actually cost you a bit more, because the box B is good for 20 pounds, whereas the box A is only good for 15 pounds. But you could actually mail it in a 0.3 cubic feet box and still pay roughly the same price as regional rate, but again, these are go up to 20 pounds. So definitely something to consider for sure. For example, let's say if you have a USPS mailing box, it's your standard Priority Mail mailing box. What's convenient about these mailing boxes is they mention the outer diameter cubic feet on the box. Even the flat rate and regional rate boxes actually had this mentioned. So this is a shoe box size. This outer diameter cubic feet is 0.333. That means it falls into tier 4. Now this seller actually shipped it with tier 3. Now I think they were supposed to use tier 4, however I'm not certain about that, but at least from what I have researched, this is technically a tier 4 box. The tier 4 size on the cubic feet pricing scale. So the cubic feet can save you a lot of money. So definitely it's something to look into, aside from regional rate boxes. So to wrap up, the biggest mistakes I've seen people make as commercial USPS customers who are Etsy sellers or eBay sellers or what have you, the biggest mistakes I've seen made are going to the local post office, and when they drop off their box, they, instead of prepaying for postage online and printing out a label and affixing it to the box, they pay for postage at the retail counter, paying full retail postage for shipping that box, sometimes spending several dollars more. Number 2 is improper use of flat rate boxes, particularly the medium and large flat rate box. Shipping, for example, lower weight items, low distances in this box will almost always cost you more than necessary. So alone, even if you're using conventional weight priority mail, as an eBay seller with commercial base pricing or an Etsy seller with commercial plus pricing, you will definitely save some money right off the bat versus paying at the counter. But you'll save even more if you use the regional rate boxes for moderate weight to heavier items, or using the cubic rates if you're an Etsy seller. So yeah, I know quite a bit of information in this video, and I'll be sure to include these charts in the video as well. And again, this information is all within the reach of Google. And that's one thing I've noticed is, I personally, in my opinion, when you start selling online like that, it's a very good idea to do your research, because in many cases you may be doing something a way that you think is right, but perhaps there's a better way of doing something. Now, I'm not trying to tell you how to do things, but I do happen to know some things, and I'm just trying to share this information to help you save some money on postage. And hopefully this is some helpful information. Because that's why I've been hanging on to quite a few of these boxes, is for videos like this. Just for basic educational videos. And here's a look at those charts up close. Pause to view details of these charts. We'll start out with the cubic postage. Here is the commercial plus. Now, if you're wondering about commercial base, I couldn't find a chart right off the bat, so that's why I didn't include one. But this is commercial plus. These are the rates you should pay if you are mailing something through Etsy e-postage and you are using the weight-based postage. Now, to mention that if you have any item that is lightweight, like a pound or so, it's actually cheaper to use. If it's actually not over 2 pounds, under Commercial Plus, you would actually save money by using the weighted rates. So it's something to keep in mind. I mean, there's so many different variables in here. It's really your call on what to use. And we're going to wrap this up with the 2018 regional rate box A, box B, and flat rate box pricing. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. And again, a lot of this information is practically everything I mentioned in this video is out there on the internet, on Google. You can look up on Google, the rates, it's all out there. So anyways, thanks for watching. Well guys, that's it for this one. But it doesn't have to be. There's plenty more videos on the channel to check out. Also, if you liked the video, please click the like button. And if you absolutely hated it, there is the alternative button as well. But yeah, please subscribe to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. And remember to click the bell so that we get notified of all updates. Also, if you're interested in things aside from computers and technology, check out my second channel. It's CubeComp MTDX. Over there you'll find videos about weather, elevators, bicycling, and pretty much whatever else I figure out to upload. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for your support.